Hi everyone, this is Ryan Schrout for PC Perspective. Today I'm going to take you through a quick preview of the first motherboard we've received for the Intel Lynnfield processors, the ASUS P7P55D EVO. The ASUS P7P55D EVO is the first motherboard we've gotten in that has the LGA 1156 socket that will support the upcoming Intel Lynnfield processors that will go by the name of both Core i5 and Core i7. It of course uses the P55 chipset, as you might guess from the name, and we'll take you through a lot of the other features on the board as well. Here you can see the P7P55D EVO in all its glory. We're going to walk you through some of the features. First thing you'll notice that there are 4 DIMM slots on this motherboard. Up to 16 gigabytes max. They support DDR3 memory speeds, stock up to 1333 megahertz, but ASUS supports up to 1600 megahertz in overclock capacity. It is only a dual channel memory configuration because the Intel Lynnfield processors will also have integrated dual channel memory controllers. If we look at the expansion slots here, you'll see that there are 3 PCIe by 16 slots. These 2 are actually powered by the processor itself. You can have a single slot at by 16 or dual slots at by 8 configurations. This PCIe 2.0 slot actually only runs at a by 1 connection, or I'm sorry, by 4 connection as it goes through the chipset itself. You'll also see 2 PCI Express 2.0 by 1 connections and 2 legacy PCI slots as well. In terms of storage, the ASUS P7P55D offers the 6 now standard SATA ports that come from all the Intel chipsets. You can see those here in light blue, but it also has in white, these are SATA 6 gigabit per second ports powered by a Marvell chipset right here. Now, we don't have any actual devices that run on SATA 6 yet, but we are looking forward to testing those. You'll see at the bottom here that ASUS has integrated power and reset buttons right onto the board, so if you do a lot of open case testing where you want to pre-build your system outside of a chassis before you throw it in there, you'd have easy access to those buttons. If we look at the external connections on the board, you'll see that there are 2 legacy PS2 ports, a total of 8 USB 2.0 ports on the back, both digital and optical audio output, a single FireWire, 2 gigabit Ethernet connections, and support for 8-channel analog audio as well. There are a few unique features to this ASUS board. One of them is what they call the QDIMM installation method. What essentially means is you'll notice there's only one side of clip to the clips on the DIMM slots. The other side are flat. So what that means is you simply insert one end like that, and it locks down in place. What this allows ASUS to do is not worry about keeping a user from using one of these clips if they have a graphics card installed very, very close to the edge of the DIMM slot here. Another interesting feature for memory on this motherboard is what ASUS calls MEMOK, and essentially what this does is that if your overclock settings for your memory either don't work or you install a new DIMM module that has different settings than what you have set in your BIOS, you simply hit this little push button here that's located on the PCB once, and it loads the information from the SPD on the memory chip to the BIOS. It allows you to ensure basic functionality at all times. Finally, another feature that ASUS is introducing on this board, and I think we might have seen it on other ASUS motherboards as well, is QLED. This is a debug functionality that instead of having an onboard post display of some kind, it actually just has lights to tell you where the problem is. You'll see that there are little, you can't really see them in the video, but there's an LED for CPU, there's one for VGA, one for DIMM as well, and I think one for boot device that simply lets you know right away at a glance why your system might not be posting correctly. Now the processor socket for the LGA 1156 CPUs is actually more different than you might think when compared to the current Core i7 processors. Installation's pretty easy though. Simply move this arm out of the way. You'll notice that the retention bracket actually slides a little bit here and flips up in that way. We'll take out the protection clip. The CPU installs in essentially the same way. There are little notches there so you don't accidentally install it incorrectly, and it fits in there. You put this door down and you make sure you slide it so that it's pointing underneath this little retention rivet here. If you accidentally put it on top, it won't close. So if you do that, it slides underneath and push the arm down. As far as cooling goes, the motherboard design still has 4 peg holes, as we're used to seeing on current Core i7 and as we saw on LGA 775 motherboards as well, but they are a different size. So your heat sinks won't necessarily work on these new motherboards unless you get a new retention bracket for them as well. I know it's disappointing that we can't show benchmarks for this platform, but I hope this little preview of the ASUS P7P55D EVO will get you through to the upcoming Lynnfield launch later this year.